Good show talking about the AFC South today, as Zach has 3 things we know about the AFC South after watching 2 weeks of play in the NFL. So we'll go through these things. I have no idea what these 3 things are, so we're all going to react live together to Zach's 3 things we know. Are they about the Colts, the Texans, the Jags, the Titans? Obviously, yes. So we'll find out exactly where Zach will take us this morning and what we know about the other teams in the AFC South around the Tennessee Titans. Maybe I'll update us on the AFC South betting odds at some point to see how those have changed throughout the first 2 weeks of play. And then we'll talk about NFL storylines. What is the most interesting NFL storyline to you through 2 weeks? I've got one with the AFC that we'll talk about, not just the AFC South, but the AFC that we'll talk about. And yes, Derrick Henry did just get named the AFC Offensive Player of the Week, to no surprise, after rushing for $182 and 3 touchdowns and putting up over 50 yards in the receiving game as well. And then it's shade time. At the end of the show, Zach, I told you earlier in the week, I've got my shade locked and loaded. I'll just tease it by saying there was broken glass everywhere. It's something that happened while I was
Did Stone Cold come into your house?
No, he did not.
Did you get stunned?
No, this happened in Atlanta over my long weekend that I had in Atlanta. So there was broken glass
Stone Cold
everywhere.
was in Atlanta.
He might have been. I didn't see him.
You don't get that reference. It's okay.
I don't. I did not pick my boogers growing up.
Well, you did. You just didn't watch wrestling while doing it.
No. I didn't. No, I didn't.
We digress. You did pick your boogers when you're a kid. Everybody picks their boogers when you're a kid.
I didn't eat my boogers.
You didn't say eat. You said
okay,
pick.
Well, then I'll correct myself. Booger eaters, the wrestling fans out there, no, I am not a booger eater like wrestling.
Well, you can grow out. You grow out of your booger eating. That's the point.
A lot of people have not grown out of wrestling.
I don't disagree with that. I don't disagree with that. But Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson is an icon, a world legend, and Stone Cold Steve Austin is just a badass. He is the Texas Rattlesnake. So, hey, good we got to get some Stone Cold talk in here early on.
Sure, yeah.
Before we get rocking and rolling, we are broadcasting live on 4 different platforms, including Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and on Facebook. We want you to come in and join however you want. If you're on Twitter, retweet the broadcast. We need to pop up your Twitter followers timeline. If you're watching on YouTube right there. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. We got tons of things going on there. We got content galore, including Titans. We've got practice highlights you can go back and watch. So right there on YouTube, subscribe to that channel. And on Facebook. What's going on, Facebookers? More people will pile in over the next 5 to 10 minutes. As you guys do, please share the show. Share the show around. Bottom left corner, share now to public. Sharing is caring. We can get this party started whenever you please, Austin Stanley.
Oh, I'm ready to get started now. Let's get it going officially. Welcome to A to Z Sports, powered by BetMGM. I'm Austin Stanley. He is Zach Bingham. Make sure you follow us all over social media: Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Twitch, also Instagram and TikTok. We're Nashville's on-demand sports talk network, and we go live every weekday morning at 8 Central Time. We got to thank our sponsors because they truly make it happen for our show, and they help out you guys. Renters Warehouse Nashville, the professional landlords in the area at renterswarehouse.com. Mandu, the Pulse of Fitness, 1 15-minute workout equals 5+ hours in the weight room. Mandu.com, your first workout's free. Wilson County Hyundai, find your next car at wilsoncountyhyundai.com and drive out to Lebanon to see what they have to offer. Again, wilsoncountyhyundai.com. And the Bone and Joint Institute, boneandjointtn.org, the region's destination for comprehensive orthopedic and sports medicine care. So, yeah, we are done with the booger eating conversation from the pre-show start about my whatever Stone Cold Steve Austin take I didn't get. Yeah.
Go back and listen to Stone Cold Steve Austin's intro song. And if you know, you know.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I don't care about wrestling, but we'll move on. So, Zach, you say you have 3 things that we know about the AFC South after the first 2 weeks of the NFL season. I mean, I think One of them is that the AFC South is a bad division, and with what's going on with the Texans, the Jags, and the Colts. But Zach, let's go through your three things of what we know about the AFC South thus far.
Well, we'll start with something that I was a little bit surprised at, and Trevor Lawrence's face kind of says it all. How bad the Jacksonville Jaguars really are. I thought they were going to be better, but after watching them, and Trevor has that face, I agree with that face because it has been a tough scene for Jacksonville. And Urban Meyer has gone on record, if you watch some of his press conference, saying, hey, stick with us. It's going to be a process. He wasn't saying that stuff in training camp. Right. But now I think he's settled in. And if you've watched the Jags, so they got boat raced by the Texans in Houston week 1, and that was not a game ever. Now, the following week, and I watch all these games, so I know.
Yes, you do.
They jump off to a 7-0 lead, and you're like, okay, finally the Jags have gotten something going. Oh, no. Then they don't score. Again, they struggle. And Denver comes back and waxes them pretty hard. And defensively, they struggle. They don't have the players. The offensive line, they're bad. And Trevor Lawrence is sitting there doing this. And I think what we realize is, Zach Wilson has a very similar problem if you've watched the Jets. And coincidentally, in not this week, but the following 2 weeks after this week, that's who the Titans play. Man, the Jags are a lot worse than I thought. I thought one player was going to improve them a little bit more than they have.
And I think Urban Meyer has been an absolute disaster.
I wouldn't say disaster. I think that is harsh.
With all the stories that are coming out about how he handles practice, the wins and losses, like drills in practice, and how he's handling it like he's a college coach, when that's what we've been saying about Urban Meyer and the experience the entire time, is that how can he adjust to coaching professionals, not college kids who he has to de-recruit after recruiting. And, it's not going well with the offense. He's going to lose a bunch of games. He's going to lose more games this year than he probably has the last decade combined in college football as the head coach of Ohio State. And he's going to get frustrated. And he's already having to fight off questions about the Southern Cal job. And it was funny, after 1 week, he loses and gets boat raced by another bad team in the first week. He's, having to talk about how he is committed to being with the Jags and turning this thing around. Urban Meyer's not doing a good job. And this roster, I'm with you. I expected the Jags to be a lot more competitive early on. I kind of expected them to win that first game against the Texans, but they have been awful. And Ed says Urban's health will fail quickly, as he typically gets out of Dodge with some type of heart condition to go spend more time with his family. I don't think that's going to happen again in Jacksonville, but it's been off to a really, really ugly start.
Well, and then you have the Nick Saban comparison, right? Because Nick Saban touched the NFL and then came back to his comfort zone of college. And, Urban, I think he'll give it a longer time than maybe Nick Saban. It's going to be a process, man. Like in the NFL, you're going to have 3. Look at what John Robinson did and he had to make some moves. You got to have a good general manager. And Urban Meyer is going to run and call a lot of the shots. But to restructure a team from the worst team in the league, it's going to take you about 3 to 4 years to be competitive. I just thought it was going to work quicker because everywhere Urban has gone, that has been the case.
Yeah, and the hard thing is that you expected Trevor Lawrence to be a fix, right? And you expected him to be able to come in here and help close the gap a lot. Because if you're saying it's going to take 3 or 4 years to turn it around, well, there goes the cheapest 3 or 4 years of Trevor Lawrence, right? Because after that third year is when quarterbacks drafted in the first round starts to get big time deals. And
steps have to be made, right? He's going to have to take some big strides in year 2 and year 3. Patrick Mahomes didn't play his first year. So you can't just call no hope. It's just, It's coming. They stumbled.
Yeah,
I
but
would say
the
they
Chiefs
fell out of the gates.
The Chiefs were in a different situation. The Chiefs traded up from 27th in the first round. They were a playoff team, up from 27th in the first round to go get Mahomes at 12. Very different situation there. But the thing about Trevor Lawrence is
At Cam Newton then. Cam Newton was drafted and then, several years later went to the Super Bowl. Had his MVP.
I believe that would have been like year 4 or 5. So yeah,
right?
That's correct. So I did see this stat earlier today. Sam Monson on Pro Football Focus says Trevor Lawrence, his pass attempts, 36% of his pass attempts so far have been uncatchable. That's the highest rate in the NFL. And I saw that he has thrown 27 uncatchable balls through 2 weeks. That is the highest in the league. Jared Goff is second with 18. So he's thrown 9 more uncatchable balls than the next most uncatchable passer in the first 2 weeks. That is such a big separation. It's pretty crazy of just how much like Peyton Manning struggled in his first year going 3-13 and leading the NFL in interceptions. So you see this all the time from quarterbacks who figure it out. But we expected and thought that Trevor Lawrence would be more of the pro-ready, where Mac Jones has been the most pro-ready looking quarterback who's a rookie, but Mac Jones has the benefit of playing with the New England Patriots and Bill Belichick to help him out a lot. David says those uncatchable throws sounds like Joe Milton. Yeah, I mean, seriously. Joe Milton, I don't even know what Joe Milton's uncatchable pass rate is at Tennessee. It's probably around 50%. But it's still, we expected Trevor Lawrence to look better than he has so far.
Yeah, and just through 2 games, but I don't think things are going to get much easier as the Jags opened with the Texans and the Broncos, right?
Yeah.
If you're sitting there, you're thinking Urban Meyer, like, wow, that's actually a pretty good get in the first 2 weeks. Then all of a sudden you blink and you're 0-2.
All right, so we're going through Zach's 3 things we know about the AFC South. We've already talked about one. That was what again? Just go ahead and restate your first thing about the Jags.
Trevor Lawrence, look at his face. That tells you everything that you need to know. They're not good, and it doesn't look like they're getting any better anytime soon.
All right, let's go ahead and get to your second point here. But first, real quick, let me tell you guys about our friends at the Bone and Joint Institute, boneandjointtn.org, the region's destination for comprehensive orthopedic and sports medicine care. Whenever that injury happens in life, make sure you know who you can trust and who to turn to. That is the folks at the Bone and Joint Institute. They have over a dozen doctors there at their facility who specialize in literally anything that can happen, anything that can go wrong, whether it's your shoulder, your hip, your ankle, your foot, your knee, your spine, your neck. They've got it covered, and they streamline the process of getting back to health with one location right there in Franklin that does it all. They do the imaging, the testing, the surgery, and the rehab under one roof. That nobody else can really say that in the state. Nobody can say that they do everything in one place. Boneandjointtn.org is where to go.
A to Z Sports were powered by BetMGM. I did a parlay this morning. I had a Major League Baseball parlay, and I don't usually do this, but and it's just a boost. It's a $25 bet, and it really just got me to bet on the Thursday night game. And that Thursday night game, I'll tell you my bet, over 1.5 passing touchdowns from Sam Darnold, but it was minus 160. So I was like, I don't really like those odds for what it is. All right, maybe I can use this parlay boost. So I'm praying that I go into that the night with 2 wins, because I've taken big time favorites tonight in Major League Baseball. So it may be done before it starts, but that's the best part about BetMGM. They gave me an opportunity. It's like 20 extra bucks I can win.
Sure.
From just putting down a little scratch. So use that promo code ATOZ Sports and download the app today.
All right, Zach, what is your second thing we all know about the AFC South? You talked about the Jags and Trevor Lawrence. What's number 2?
It's what we know, and then this is a weird one. It's because what we don't know. We know what the Texans are doing. The Texans decided to start Tyrod Taylor. Now it's Davis Mills because Tyrod Taylor got his hamstring hurt on that touchdown run, which I saw live, and I said, he hurt his hamstring. You could it's the way he moved into the end zone. He said, he's not celebrating like he should. My question, The thing that we know is that they're not playing Deshaun Watson. My question is, why are they not playing Deshaun Watson? Why are they not playing him, or why are they not trading him? Why are they not putting him on the block and getting something for him? Are they waiting for the Dolphins situation to get worse? It appears to be. Are they waiting for more quarterbacks to get hurt? Because that appears to start happening. Are they tanking? Are they tanking?
You're confused by why the Texans are not playing or trading Deshaun Watson.
Why are they not trading him?
Who's going to take Deshaun Watson right now?
They had offers.
From who?
Did you not see the report? They had
no, I have not.
first-round.
You have not referenced a report. Have you referenced a report over those last minute or so?
No, they had a report like last week.
Oh, well, then I missed
Yates
it.
Came out before the season that a team was interested and offered for Deshaun Watson, and they didn't take it.
Okay, well, then
so riddle me that.
No, I didn't see that report, and I would like to know more about the report, like what all went into it, because the Texans know that they have one opportunity to trade Deshaun Watson and have to get as much as possible. Bobby says that was closer to rumors than a report, and I don't know it. Maybe Zach can go find it real quick. Brent says Deshaun Watson is untradeable until legal issues are resolved. I agree. I mean, that's the reason why Deshaun Watson is not playing and is not traded is because the Texans aren't going to play him because they would have to be on the hook if he gets hurt, and they would rather be
on the hook if he gets hurt. They're on the hook now.
I know, but
that didn't make any sense. Austin.
They would like to hold out hope to trade a healthy Deshaun Watson at some point. Now, the trade deadline, I don't know when it is exactly, but it's usually around Halloween. And like you said, the Dolphins and other teams might start getting even more desperate because 6 quarterbacks are dealing with injuries right now in the NFL. At some point over the next month, will another team get even more desperate than they already are and try to pull the trigger for Deshaun Watson? They don't want Deshaun Watson to get hurt. They also know that they're tanking because their future is not Deshaun Watson, so there's no point in playing him whatsoever. And Tyrod Taylor had him playing competitive football, and it's unfortunate, again, for Taylor to get hurt again.
But that's what happens
when he's been playing good football.
You can't hitch your wagon to guys like Jake Locker or to Tyrod Taylor or Carson Wentz, who we'll talk about here shortly. Their ass is going to get hurt. And so the Tyrod Taylor thing, okay, I'll ask you this then, Austin. Is this the approach that you would have taken if you were the Houston Texans?
I mean, I would have tried. It's so hard because I don't know what the Texans are supposed to do because the NFL won't make a decision and put him on the exempt list. That's what the Texans probably hoped that would have happened, and it hasn't, right? But when there's over or nearly 24 civil lawsuits against your star quarterback who doesn't want to play for you and wants to be traded, like, what are you going to do? Like, Deshaun Watson wanted out of Houston before the civil lawsuits popped up. And before the civil lawsuits popped up, the Texans would have been crazy to trade Deshaun Watson unless it was for John Robinson's King ransom term. But and then all of a sudden the lawsuits come out. I don't know what they're supposed to do. And Ed says, why won't the league act? I don't know. They won't act because they don't know yet, because the legal system takes forever. So nobody knows. So the only thing the Texans can do is to sit him
and pay him.
Well, because you at least have the opportunity to trade him if he's healthy.
But you're sitting there paying him a massive salary to do nothing, to even be away from the team. They're not even letting him around the team.
I mean, it's so strange. And we haven't seen a situation like this before. There is zero precedent with what's going on with Deshaun Watson, a quarterback who wants to be out, but who has 22 civil lawsuits against him for sexual misconduct. I mean, it's crazy. Who has a massive salary.
And look, the
team also knows that he's not their future. So why would they want him to help them try to win a few more games? So the team is trying to do what's best for their future, and their future is not Deshaun Watson. So not playing him does make sense. It's a crappy, awful situation for everybody involved, including all of the people who have sent out the civil lawsuits. Like, there's no good way to handle this. And I think not playing him is the best of all the bad ways.
They're paying him $16 million.
That's it
for 2021.
I mean, that's, I'd rather.
Well, 2022, it's 35.
Okay. I knew it went up drastically. And so, hey, I'd rather, pay him 16 mil, basically right under $1 million a game to not let him get hurt, to maybe try to trade him later. So again, the trade deadline's usually around right before or after Halloween. That's kind of how it needs to go.
Okay, so let's ask this then. Do you think Deshaun Watson will be traded before this season's over, right? So before the trade deadline?
No, I don't. Because I don't know how you can. I don't know how another NFL team can trade for Deshaun Watson knowing what they don't know. Like that, there's no way they can trade for somebody.
But you don't know when they're going to figure it out.
Right.
The legal process, I mean, hell, that thing takes so long. That could be drug out for years.
Yes, but there's no point.
And they will settle. I'm sure Deshaun Watson wants to collect these checks. And look, the philosophy is, I mean, you got to maintain a lifestyle, but you got $16 million in the bank this year. And I'm not saying just pay him off, but I mean, you're trying to get out of the situation if you're in this situation. And I know he's pleading not guilty, and he is saying that these accusations are completely false. I think his reputation's already been tarnished.
Yeah, there's no way he can be traded, Zach, because who would trade? Like, it would take a crazy person to trade for Deshaun Watson because of all the public scrutiny that would go on your organization if you do that. Because of
but that's the thing. Deshaun Watson has not been treated like that. Deshaun Watson has not been exiled into, the abyss. Nobody's really talking about him.
Nobody's talking about it because what is there to say? Nobody's talking about it because we don't know anything. That's why nobody's talking about it.
Well, you would think if this was a high-profile case, they would reveal a lot more things and details about the accusations. That's what happens in media. That's what happens in news. But some way, somehow, that's not happening in this particular case. He is not getting the coverage that you would think he would get. I think that is my point.
I mean,
I don't know why.
Because nobody knows. Because it's like he said, she said, and it's a civil lawsuit, and it's 22 of them, and like there's nothing else that we can do besides wait for when this actually starts to play out in the legal process.
But dude, this is so high profile. They would have 60-minute stories sitting down with these accusers talking about the ins and outs of what happened in that massage therapy room.
But that's
that in a high-profile case, that's what usually happens. I don't know why that's Deshaun Watson's not getting that.
Because there's no new information, and the accusers aren't doing that for whatever reason. That's not the plan of the accusers, is to go out and do the 60-minute interviews or anything. So, like, I don't know. I'm just telling you, nothing's changed with Deshaun Watson for months, which is why nobody's talking about it as much.
I'm with Ken. Something's not adding up. And this is a high-profile player, a superstar quarterback, a top 5 QB in the National Football League. He has done something or been accused of something egregious. Like, and in today's temperature, your ass gets canceled at the snap of a finger. But Deshaun Watson is not getting that same treatment that the mainstream media usually gives. So
are you
those type?
Are you?
I'm with Ken. Something's not adding up.
Because Bobby says, isn't Zach always telling us to not judge until we know all the facts? And now you're saying, like, why? Now you're asking for more coverage.
Why are we treating somebody else in society different? I hate society.
Maybe because we're actually approaching this the correct way this time.
No.
Well,
that never happens.
Well, then why the hell is something else not happening? Why you're over here asking why is more not talked about this? It's because nobody else knows. Like, this is actually how it's supposed to go. It's that the player gets paid and doesn't play. The team sits and waits, and we're all waiting to make our decisions or our opinions based off of what actually happens legally. Isn't that not how it's supposed to be? And you're over here bitching about why it's not more?
Because it never happens that way.
Okay, then maybe it is this time. Like, what's going? I don't know, man. Like, like you're asking all these questions, but the Texans are handling it the right way. The media is reporting on the new things that come out, but nothing new has come out in months. And so what's the point? David Culley just says every Monday or Tuesday, Deshaun Watson's out this week. And then you say, okay, yeah, that makes sense. Why don't you just rule him out for the next several weeks?
My point is something's very fishy, and I don't know why that they are treating this situation differently than every single high-profile sexual accusation against a premier icon in sports. That doesn't happen, man.
Yeah,
and I don't think it's just because it's working this time. The judiciary system. But
again, no, I'm not saying the judiciary system is working. We're talking about the media coverage. We're not talking about the judiciary system.
Why is the media treating him like this?
Again, I don't know, because I don't read up on it every week, because it doesn't matter to me, because I'm not here.
It matters because you cover the Tennessee Titans, and this does affect what if Deshaun Watson was playing right now. We'd have a completely different story with a team we're about to talk about who we thought were going to be good, and all of a sudden they're 0-2. And the whole damn division, I think, has surprised us in the start that they've had. Now, the Titans played two pretty difficult matchups, and they've won one of one. But my next take of the AFC South has to do with the Indianapolis Colts. And it starts with, why are they so bad, and why does this man keep playing the way that he does?
All right, let's have you talk more about this and dive deeper into it. But first, tell us all about Wilson County Hyundai.
Wilson County Hyundai is right there where you need to be if you need a new car, or if you need a used car, or if you need to trade in your used car that you have to get a new car. WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Look at their inventory today. They've got the Palisade, which is a full-size SUV, 2021, all the bells and whistles, Apple CarPlay, third row seating. Or if you want a four-door sedan like I have in the Sonata, that whip is sitting right out there ready to dominate the streets. The Hyundai has you, and Wilson County Hyundai has you covered even more. For you or your family, they have the perfect make and model. That's WilsonCountyHyundai.com.
Download the BetMGM app, use our code ATOZ Sports, and with your first deposit, your first bet is risk-free up to $1,000. It's a great way to build and start your bankroll. You go out there, you that first deposit, whatever you decide to put in it, you just bet it all on something with plus money, because you're either going to win that bet or you're going to get that money back in free credits to go build your bankroll with the BetMGM app. It's a great app. Zach and I love it. I'm already getting set for this upcoming college football and NFL weekend. We had A to Z Sports Picks yesterday presented by BetMGM. They had a killer show talking about building your parlay pool early in the week. So follow us in the BetMGM app. Download the app. ATOZ Sports is the code for risk-free bet up to $1,000 with your first deposit and your first bet. Visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. You must be 21 years or older, must be present in Tennessee, and for gambling problem support, call the Tennessee Red Line at 1-800-889-9789. Zach, tell us more about the Colts and what we know about the Colts.
Well, everybody's laughing at Big Ten Jeff. Wentz has actually been playing well. Now, if you look at his stats, Wentz has been playing reckless. He has not been playing well.
Which is how he has a good
completion percentage, but he's been sacked 6 times for 55 yards of lost sack yardage. Like, he's playing the way that he needs to stop playing. Like, that is the problem. It's insanity. If you keep doing the same thing over and over and over again and expect a different result, you are glorified insane. And I feel like Colts fans, maybe Jeff has a little insanity in him if he's thinking he's playing that well. Well, he's playing the same way he played in Philadelphia, which got his ass traded and didn't win football games. And you can't have pictures like this consistency. You see that wincing face? Yeah, pun intended. Man, the Seahawks got after his ass. The Rams got after him. Like, it was the Seahawks game. I felt bad for him. And then what do you know? He winds up with 2 sprained ankles. And then Jacob Eason comes in, has an opportunity to win the game. First throw, pick.
Yeah, it's just like it's the irony in Carson Wentz spraining both ankles at the same time is not lost on me. It's just like I made the joke. And there was a great comment earlier. I wanted to give credit for this comment real quick. Michael says, Wentz literally plays like he doesn't care at all about his body or health. That's how he's been playing since he entered the NFL. You could do that at North Dakota State and get away with it. But when you go to the NFL with the Eagles and now with the Colts, there's just been so many injuries because of how reckless he plays, diving, throwing his body into everything, hanging on to the ball too long. This had to have been the expectation after you trade for Carson Wentz. Is that there's no way he stays healthy. He couldn't even get to training camp without needing a surgery. Then he hurts his foot, has the surgery, comes back, and then in week 2, and he sprains both ankles. Like, spraining both ankles is something that happens like when you're old and you walk down the steps on a slippery, rainy day, or when you go skydiving. You don't do that in the NFL, spraining both ankles on the same play. Now, I get Aaron Donald does some crazy stuff, but Carson Wentz is snake bit. He's injury prone and he's reckless, which just makes his injuries even that more dramatic. And so, this was how I expected the Colts to look. I didn't expect them to necessarily start 0-2, but I expected Carson Wentz to have issues staying healthy and significant injuries before we even got to October.
Well, and now Indy's back is against the wall, and they're in a must-win divisional game in week 3 against Tennessee in Nashville. This is a must-win. If their season wants to be truly salvaged, they can't start 0-3. They can't do it. They're going to be 2 behind, and with that divisional loss and how bad the division is, they're going to be banking on the Titans losing to teams like Jacksonville and the Texans, who we just talked about. And that's not going to happen. And that's going to be their only way to get into the playoffs. That's the problem. It's the setup. The AFC North has 3 teams that can vie for playoff berth, right? And who knows what the Patriots are going to do. And the Chargers don't look bad. So all of those wild card teams that you're looking at, starting 0-3 is not going to help you get to where you need to go.
Yeah, Kevin says the AFC is too good for them to climb out of an 0-3 hole. And that's why I said it in the post game. Like, the opportunity for the Titans to bury the Colts in an 0-3 hole at home, mind you, and potentially against a backup quarterback cannot be overstated. And I have to say this, week 2, 2019, Colts come to town with a backup quarterback in a month after Andrew Luck called it quits. The field caught on fire pregame. The Titans honored Eddie George and Steve McNair, and the Colts beat the Titans inexplicably. And so if you're the Titans, you have to, kind of beware a little bit because you've seen this movie before. But this Colts team, Jacob Eason making his first start is different than Jacoby Brissett, who is more of a veteran backup who had experience and was a very high quality backup quarterback in Jacoby Brissett. But again, this is a massive opportunity. And I mentioned pre-show that to look up the BetMGM odds for the division. The Titans to start the season 2 weeks ago were -110 or -115 to win the AFC South. The Colts are like +135 or 40. Right now, it's the Titans at BetMGM -200, the Colts +225, and the Texans and the Jags are both +1,400. So it's all in 2 weeks, and the Titans sucked in week 1, and they sucked in the first half in week 2. But in 2 weeks, it's already shifted that dramatically for the Titans to run away with this division. And the next 6 weeks is the Titans' opportunity to lock it up, because the Titans have 6 AFC opponents, including 3 divisional games in the next 6 weeks, with a chance to go maybe 4-2 over that stretch and do some damage and really run away from the rest of the division.
And both the Colts and the Titans opened with NFC West teams, and both played the Seahawks. The Titans were just able to beat them in Seattle. The Colts, here's the other caveat. Both of their losses, where were they?
Home.
In Indy. So you only got 6 more home games, and you're supposed to have an advantage. And Lucas Oil Stadium is an advantage. I've been there. It is actually one of my favorite stadiums that I've ever been to watch a game. Now, it was a midday game. the roof was open. So the atmosphere, just very enjoyable day. The Titans got waxed because Charlie Whitehurst was playing and Justin Hunter had hands of stone, even though he played wide receiver. But that home field advantage kind of goes out the window because they've lost 2 of their home games. That's not good.
Yeah. And Joey Watts asked, why did the Colts get rid of Jacoby Brissett? I believe his contract was up. And
they drafted over him. They got Eason, and then they got Sam Ehlinger from Texas
they wanted, I'm guessing that they did not want to spend higher dollar on backup quarterback after trading for Carson Wentz, who's being paid like $30 million. So they couldn't afford to retain Jacoby Brissett at what he was making, because he got an extension there once Andrew Luck retired to be the bridge quarterback. And then they went out and got Phillip Rivers. So he probably was soured a little bit on the organization for how they treated him with the contract extension and then, free agent signing of Phillip Rivers and then a trade for Carson Wentz. He was like, I'm out of here. Go find new opportunity.
So you remember how I said at the beginning of the season that the only way that I would pick the Titans to go to the Super Bowl is if they hosted an AFC championship game. Right now, because of how the AFC South is kind of shaking up, that could become a reality more so now that you're not going to have to worry about your division as much if you take care of the Colts this weekend and they start 0-3. You can start focusing on other things down the road, and probably the Chiefs just lost to the Ravens. The Ravens lost to the Raiders the week before, so there's some shakeup. The Steelers beat the Bills, and then the Steelers just lost, right? And you said this before the show. Everybody and their mother is 1-1.
Yeah. So Josh says, once the Titans lock up the South, need to go for the number 1 seed, and the only bye in the AFC would be huge. I mean, that's tough because you got to play the entire NFC West. And the Rams are good. The Niners are good. You have a tough schedule. The Saints, I think, are losable in that game. And so you've got a tough schedule here and then you got to play the Chiefs and the Bills, then Chiefs in back-to-back weeks in this 6-game AFC stretch. So you really need to take care of business over the next 3 weeks to set yourself up there to maybe go after that. But it's a long thing to do. But let's go ahead and get to our next topic here, Zach, and that is, what's the most interesting storyline in the NFL to you so far? So this is a pan-personal for everybody. We're opening up to the entire NFL. Mine has to deal with the AFC still. But what is the most interesting storyline in the NFL so far to you? But first, let me tell you guys about Mandu, the Pulsive Fitness. 1 15-minute workout at Mandu equals 5 or more hours in the weight room from full body electronic muscle stimulation. Guys, it's a real workout. It'll make you sweat. It'll make you really sore, and it'll help build functional strength and build muscle while targeting that hard to burn body fat and transform your body. Whatever fitness goals you have, Mandu can help you achieve them. Maybe you're like 80% to your goal and you can't figure out how to finish strong. Mandu can help you do that with their highly educated training staff and the science behind it. Mandu.com. Your first workout is absolutely free. And if you tell them A to Z Sports sends you, you get $100 off your first month when you sign up. That's Mandu.com. Tell them A to Z sent you, and you get $100 off your first month when you sign up right there at Mandu.com.
BetMGM, they power our morning show. Code ATOZ Sports. You can get parlay boosts. You can get free bets. That's kind of the best part about what is going on. Plus, if you're a new user and you use the promo code ATOZ Sports, BetMGM is giving a risk-free bet to new users up to $1,000. $1,000. You can turn $1,000 into $2,000 or even more if you put it into a parlay, however you want to do it. BetMGM, download the app today in your app store and use promo code ATOZ Sports, no spaces, for that promo.
All right, so what is the most interesting storyline in the NFL to you so far? Interesting. It doesn't mean surprising. It doesn't mean the most important, but just the most interesting to you. So this could be whatever you guys feel. Ronnie says the Raiders being 2-0 is very interesting to me, and we can spend some time on each of these observations as we go through them. Yeah, the Raiders, because they had, the Ravens and the Steelers. Like you could easily see the Las Vegas Raiders going into the year when the schedules come out being like, yeah, it's an 0-2 start because of what those Ravens and Steelers are. Noah says the Colts have 3 straight road games. The Dolphins, Titans, Dolphins, and Ravens, they could get to 0-5. I mean, that's not out of the question there, Noah, because, well, with the Dolphins, you don't know what Tua's situation's like because he got hurt on Sunday as well. Jeff says, honestly, the Colts being 0-2. Chris says, Derek Carr looking like MVP. I just looked at the BetMGM odds this morning. Kyler Murray is now the favorite to be the MVP, which is crazy. Ant says, win one game, everybody talking things like are fixed now. The defense is still giving up 30 points a game. The O-line is still shaky from the Titans there. Let's see. Most surprising. Nate says, Jameis interception. Wilson was weak. I don't even know what you're trying to say there, Nate. I'm sorry. Ethan says, freaking Tom Brady's having the best start of his career at 44. Tom Brady with 9 touchdown passes in the first 2 games, Zach. I mean, you're smiling ear to ear.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I know. I've watched all of the touchdown passes. Baby. That's my favorite storyline. I don't know. It's the most interesting storyline.
It's definitely not the most interesting, but because they ran everybody back. They ran it back. That's what they're doing what they're supposed to do. And they played 2 defenses.
You love to see it. You love to see it.
They played the Falcons and the Cowboys, 2 bad defenses from a year ago, and the Falcons have given up 80 points in the first 2 weeks.
The Falcons are bad.
Dom says
Arthur Smith doesn't have a run game, and he's playing from behind. And when you don't have Derrick Henry, things look a little different in the run.
Dom says Cardinals are going to be a real problem. They look like another contender over Seattle and San Francisco. Yeah, the Cardinals are very
well. The NFC West. Right. I mean, the Seahawks, it took overtime and a comeback in the second half by the Titans to make them 1-1. Everybody else is 2-0. I mean, they are the best division in football. We knew that to start, but now we're really seeing it.
Yeah. Rashid says the Broncos are 2-0. Monsoon says Brady returning to Foxborough next week is going to be fun. Yeah, that'll be really fun too. So my most interesting storyline, Zach, through 2 weeks is that in the AFC, there are 16 teams. 11 of the 16 teams are 1-1, including like some real players that you thought were going to be in this thing. Like the Bills are 1-1. Everybody in the AFC North is at 1-1. The Ravens, Steelers, Browns, all contenders or view themselves as contenders. Even the Bengals got to win. Then you've got the Chiefs and the Chargers are sitting at 3rd and 4th in the AFC West because 2 of the 5 non-1-1 teams are the 2-0 Raiders and 2-0 Broncos. So like that division looks kind of turned around a little bit. But 11 teams, including all of the serious contenders in the AFC, are sitting at 1-1. I find that extremely interesting because it means that everybody has flaws. And I didn't think the Chiefs would. I didn't think the Bills would be 1-1 at this point. And so I think, does that make you feel better about the Titans because they were allowed to have that one awful week and then recover? They need to finish out.
No, it just solidifies what you said. The Titans have flaws. I mean,
yeah, right? But again, but now that they're even, like they had their one where they showed their ass against the Cardinals, and now they're even. And so I think that's a good thing.
They still have flaws. They still have offensive line problems.
I'm not saying they don't have flaws. I'm just saying everybody has flaws, which means that it brings maybe the Chiefs and the Bills down a notch when you had them a couple notches ahead of the Titans potentially.
Well, you asked me if it made me feel better, and my answer is no, because I think that because of the injuries in the offensive line, that is the concerning part. And defensively, they can't blow coverages like they have, right? We know that the players can come to play like Tannehill, Julio, AJ, and Derrick Henry. I fully expect a bounce back game from AJ, right? Like I know that. But it didn't make me feel any better. I'm going to pluck really, I'd say 2 teams out of those 1-1 AFC teams to talk about. You could do all 4. I talked about before, Wilson and Trevor Lawrence, they are bad. They're just not playing on very good teams. They got to work through that. I'm very interested because I felt like the Dolphins were going to be big-time contenders, and then what do you know? They had the same thing happen that the Colts happened. Surprise, surprise, Carson Wentz got hurt. Surprise, surprise, Tua got hurt. What are you going to do without a quarterback? And the Dolphins, I feel like, are ready to make a push. I think it will be interesting to see what they do in that AFC East. They have a win over the Patriots early in week 1, but what can they continue on? I'm very curious about these Dolphins. Jacoby Brissett, who we mentioned too, is now their backup. So that's a pretty good backup, but how far is that going to get you? Because that is a wild card contending team, and that was the 10-plus win team that missed the playoffs last year. Mm-hmm. That was the one team. So what are they going to do? I'm kind of watching Miami to see how they rebound with or without Tua. I'm not sure what his ribs are going to do.
Yeah, and I think that they play at Las Vegas, and Derek Carr is not like a given to play, and their backup is Nathan Peterman because Marcus Mariota is also on the shelf yet again. So, that could be a winnable game there for the Dolphins.
DJ brings something up. What do you think about that? Who will bring in Cam Newton? Or will somebody bring in Cam Newton? Newton's go on record saying that he thinks that teams think that he is a distraction.
Well, because he is a distraction.
And that's just who he is.
Yes.
So will that prevent him from getting a job like it has others in the past?
It needs to be a team who has lost their starter for a significant chunk of the season. Like Tyrod Taylor's out a while is what that was framed at. But the Texans aren't trying to win. Mm-mm. So the Texans are going to bring in Cam Newton. The Carson Wentz thing is interesting because if the Colts bring in Cam Newton, I think that's an upgrade, especially with Carson Wentz's inability to stay healthy. And with the running game the Colts can have with their stable of running backs and Taylor, Hines, and Mack. I like that a lot, that idea. They've got some weapons on the outside. The O-line needs to get healthier, but I think I just don't expect the Colts to go spend that type of money on another quarterback. But I don't know what other choice they have. Chris brings that up. He goes, the Colts might not have another choice. But I think the Colts would be the best fit out there unless somebody else gets hurt who isn't currently hurt. Like Andy Dalton's hurt, but they have Justin Fields. I don't think the Dolphins are going to bring in Cam because they have Jacoby Brissett. Derek Carr's not going to, the Raiders aren't going to be an option. Ben Roethlisberger is banged up, but he's probably going to play. So I don't know what opportunity else is out there other than the Colts if this Carson Wentz double ankle sprain lasts, or is expected to last a month or longer.
Yeah, if you 0-3, where you're at, right? Like how?
Right.
I mean, you're
then
desperate.
Yeah. Well, if you're 0-4, because the Colts had the Titans, Dolphins, and I forget who that last team was, but it was a game they could drop. So from the commenter earlier who said that Colts, Ravens. So
and they're all away at Dolphins, at Ravens, or at Titans, at Dolphins, at Ravens. Then they play the Texans at home, and then they're at the 49ers home against the Titans. Ugh.
Yeah,
that's a tough schedule just looking at it before, right?
Yeah.
We talked about that. Playoff team, the Rams, playoff team, the Titans, playoff team, the Dolphins, they're the only team that wasn't, the Ravens and the 49ers and the Titans. I said 6 out of their first 9 teams, you remember me saying that, were playoff teams. And then you had the Dolphins that were the only ones that weren't. That's a tough stretch for the Colts. That's good for the Titans.
Yeah, it's great for the Titans. And we'll just have to see what happens. So your most interesting storyline is the Dolphins and seeing where they can kind of shuffle themselves as a wild card team. Yeah, very interesting there for sure. So mine is the fact that 11 of the 16 AFC teams are at 1-1. A lot of opportunity for teams to really battle for wild card contention because everybody that's important has lost a game, right? So I find that interesting there. All right, Zach, let's move on to throwing shade. My shade happened in Atlanta. There was broken glass everywhere, and it was a situation that was handled as poorly as it possibly could have been handled. So get ready for that. But first, let me tell you guys about our friends at renterswarehouse.com. Renters Warehouse, they're the professional landlords in the Nashville area. Simply head to renterswarehouse.com to find out how much your home can rent for. There's so many different ways you can use Renters Warehouse to your benefit. They can create extra cash flow for you and your family and get that retirement plan jump started, because long-term equity equals long-term wealth, which means it's great to rent out your property to help you get that retirement plan set up. Also, if you're looking to rent out a new home for yourself or for your son or daughter or whoever it may be, whatever situation you're in, they've got a great inventory across the mid-state right there at renterswarehouse.com.
A to Z Sports are powered by BetMGM. Download the app today. They have you covered. BetMGM is the title sponsor of our pregame, halftime, postgame show. Home game this week, the mainstay. It's going to be lit. Look at that crowd. Home games are at the mainstay right across the street from Nissan Stadium. Come pregame with us and then enjoy the postgame.
All right, shade here on the show. So get your throw-in shade here. I will get my shade here momentarily, but we got to get this thing kicked off the right way. All right, so let's see. G-Man says, shade on Zach and Austin for not reading his comments. G-Man, we've been reading your comments for years. G-Man's been a day one ever since pre-A to Z Media LLC. So, G-Man, nothing personal. Maybe we just didn't have an opportunity to, just didn't see him. We got a lot of comments flying in here at the same time. Just happened to miss you today. All right, Kevin says, shade, NFL officiating is so bad. I mean, I don't understand how Memphis returned that for a touchdown against Mississippi State when so many things in that game went bad from officiating and that specific play.
But you do love to see State fail.
I don't care about Mississippi State like you do. Like, Ole Miss fans are the only people who care about following Mississippi State besides Mississippi State.
And their failures. Yes. You love to see them fail.
Yeah, I mean, shade all over the place on the refs in the Titans game. Alex said shade on that awful post the SEC made after the State game when they lost to Memphis. Yeah, the weird thing is, like, the guy definitely downed the punt. I don't know if Brian Edwards pointed this out yesterday in the pick show that Memphis had 2 number 4s in on that play, which you can have duplicate numbers in college football.
But I didn't realize, on the same field time.
Yeah, it came on the field at the same time. It's a 5-yard penalty, but that got away with it. So yes, that was some good shade there. Shade on the refs all around this week. Zach, what is your shade?
Well, I thought your shade was going to be the Texas rattlesnake. I'm really curious to see what your shade is going to be. But my shade has to do with it's a closing of a chapter. And look, I've followed this player, whether you love him or hate him, which a lot of people hate him. But my shade is all on the J.J. Redick haters for when he was on Duke saying, you're never going to be a pro. You're never going to go to the NBA and have success. Oh, were they wrong or not? He played 15 seasons. And Austin, I'll let you play a little guessing game. How much money do you think he earned in his 15 seasons? J.J. Redick, the assassin for 3 at Duke. I thought that he could come in, defend, and if he shot well, there was a place for him. I didn't think he would play 15 seasons, but damn. What do you think his career earnings are?
Well, I was hoping you were going to ask me a trivia question of how many times did J.J. Redick make the playoffs in his 15 years? Because that answer is 14. I knew that one. But let's see. How much money? 15 years is a long time. I'm going to guess J.J. Redick made $120 million in his career.
Ooh, that is really, really close.
Yeah.
You're over, but we don't play over $115 million.
Oh, I almost said 115, but I thought 115 in 15 years would have been too weird. Man, that's really good. Yeah.
That was a good guess.
Thank you. JJ Redick, very impressive career.
Unbelievable. And a lot of people doubted that guy, and I think he proved a lot of people wrong. And I thought, and you may have, I watched all of his games. So the 8-minute retirement video.
You watched every single one of JJ Redick's games over 15 years?
Oh, no, at Duke.
Okay. You just said I watched every one of his games.
No, yeah, I was talking about at Duke. Once he went to the pros, I mean, he played for Orlando, for God's sakes. I mean, yeah, I'm not watching those Magic games.
Right.
I did watch a couple of Magic games this year because I won some money on them, but thanks to BetMGM. But pretty unbelievable career that I think was surprising to all. So shade on the haters. And you always hear the story about, and that was when Maryland was really good in the ACC and North Carolina, obviously, about them looking up things of his family and like sending death threats and chanting about, bad things about his sister and all that other stuff and his parents. So that's some redemption in the check of $115 million.
College basketball, I think that's college basketball's peak or most recent peak. Like those years, like people cared about college basketball 15 plus years ago, way more than they do now. And that was a really fun time. The ACC was rolling. The Big East was still a thing.
The Grayson Allen era was a blip of that because there was a hate. But it wasn't the same.
No, it was not the same because whenever I think of JJ Redick, I also think of Adam Morrison and how opposite those two guys went. Because Adam Morrison, for a living, is now on the Gonzaga, part of the Gonzaga broadcast team. Which, look, if you're a Gonzaga legend, then might as well make money.
NBA Finals champion.
Was he really?
Yeah, for the Lakers.
Oh man, I forgot about that.
And then you have Jimmer Fredette, who was unbelievable, but he couldn't stay long in the league. No. He had to go to China.
Right. So my shade, Zach, is from my trip to Atlanta this past weekend with my wife. There were a total of 4 couples, so 8 of us on this trip visiting one of the couples that lives in Atlanta. So we go, bouncing around the different bars and restaurants, and we're at this one bar on Friday night. And our plans had gotten changed, so we just kind of showed up to this bar just because it was available. So Friday night, we're at this bar, and our drinks are being brought, and the server has like the tray of drinks, right? And, there's different types of cocktails and wine and whatever on it. So she starts unloading it, holding it. All of a sudden, I notice the champagne glass is starting to tip. And I'm like, oh God, I see it. And I felt like it was in slow motion. And so I move towards it. The champagne glass starts to tip. The server sees it and goes, ah. And then instead of just allowing that to fall, freaks out, tossing the glass of red wine all over one of the girls with us. Just dumped red wine everywhere.
Oh my God.
The entire glass shatters and just boom, just goes. I've never seen a wine glass shatter like this. The stem was the only thing left remaining. Everything else was in pieces everywhere. And the wine I got blood splatter on me on my chest, but it was all over.
Shrapnel.
Yeah. I mean, just crazy. And so, all over her pants, all over her phone, sitting on the table. Jenny jumps up, my wife, and grabs the phone real quick and starts putting it in a towel and taking the case off to save that. But her bag, I'm not going to say how much the bag was, but a very nice bag, very sentimental bag, a gift to her, was drenched. And so she sprints off to the bathroom. One of the other girls goes to the bathroom with her, and the server just has no idea what to do. So Alex says, sounds like y'all got free drinks. So after spending several minutes in the bathroom trying to clean herself of this red wine off, the server comes and checks on her. The server was really nice, but she didn't know what to do here. She was way in over her head. The server's peace offering was a big-ass shot of tequila that nobody wanted, the shot of tequila.
So nobody, for everyone?
No, for her. Just the one shot. It's here's a shot of tequila to make it all feel better. In which she said she didn't want it, but she had it. And then the check, we're all just bummed now and pissed. That's it. That's all we've gotten so far is a shot of tequila that nobody asked for. And so she brings the check. Everything's still on it. And so her husband, the girl who got spilled on's husband, had to say, look, we're not going to pay for her drink. And then the server said, okay, and took
the
it
server
back.
brought back new drinks after the cleanup.
Yes,
correct?
yes. After the cleanup that took way too many towels.
Right.
The
Yeah.
server
Yeah.
brought back new drinks.
Yeah.
Right. So, but we were like done. We're like over this place at this point. So she brings back the check after we asked for her drink to be removed. They got the girl who got spilled on. And I said, you know what? I don't feel like paying for my wife's glass of wine that did the damage. And so she goes, okay. And then
people are like, yeah, I don't feel like I should pay for mine.
Like that was it. Like the fact that we had to go and ask twice for 2 drinks to be removed. Like no manager came over, no nothing. A shot of tequila that nobody wanted, and us having to ask twice for drinks to be taken off this is the absolute worst way to handle this. Now the next day we go to a different establishment. And there was a pizza ordered by one of the guys in our group. The pizza took 45 minutes. And so his girlfriend went and asked where the pizza was. The manager comes over, says, oh my gosh, I sincerely apologize. I'll make sure to take that off your tab. And I'll bring you a hot, fresh pizza right now on us from our mistake. And we're like, that is how it is done. So my shade is on this bar and that waitress, because I feel like she was so freaked out that she didn't want to get her manager involved. When if you get your manager involved and you handle it the right way, you pay for all of our drinks, you give her some type of like gift card to come back and something, right? Something. But my God, the worst handling of a situation I've seen at a bar like that.
If I was there and you were like, yeah, I don't feel like paying for my wife's glass of wine or whatever you said, I definitely would have said, yeah, I don't feel like paying for my entree. And then I would have hoped somebody else would have said, I don't feel like paying for the appetizer.
It's like it's like in Rudy that everybody's turning in their jerseys.
Yeah, yes. But you hate that. But I think you diagnosed the situation correctly. I don't think she wanted to get her manager involved, but she needs to problem solve. Yes. She needs to fix the problem and make sure the customer you're not going to make them feel better. The night's ruined. You know, the girl's got wine all over or whatever. You just need to say, look, this is my peace offering for the restaurant.
Yeah, and
here's a shot of well tequila to make you feel worse tomorrow.
Yeah. This is gonna make it all better. And so, I agree with Johnny. They should have paid for a dry cleaning, something offer, because she was just totally soaked in red wine.
You don't get involved with the dry cleaning as a restaurant. You do what you can do, and you take all of the drinks off. I think that would have been smart, right? So that entire round was free, or we're going to take all of these drinks off and you're going to get another round on us. All right. fully apologize.
So Nate said, I bet you won't at them though, Austin. I had to scroll back to the text thread to find out what the place was called, because I forgot. Draw Bar in Atlanta, I believe in Buckhead area. Draw Bar is the culprit. I don't remember the server's name, to be honest. It might have been like Emily or something. I don't know, but there you go, Nate. I had to remember what it was called. But
Emily comes home after that night, tells her boyfriend, "You won't believe what happened," and tells the story about her spilling every single glass, shattering all over these customers. Alex
says the worst part is the red wine. Literally, any other liquid would have been better.
Yeah,
and I will say, because I didn't realize this, I had red wine splatter on my shirt, which was one of my favorite shirts currently, and then on my shorts. And then the next morning I was like, damn it, there's red wine on my shoes. And so luckily for me, all of it came out Monday in the wash. So I survived that. I just had a few little splatters all over me, but I did not get drenched with a very heavy pour of red wine.
Well, that's good. So here's, I think, to wrap this up, this is a very important question. Alex brings up, did you still tip? And if you did, what was the percentage? I love these. These are my favorite.
Yes, we tipped 15%. And we left a note that said, everything's okay, but next time we need to have it handled better because we didn't want to the server was also distraught. She was very upset by this. And so we're not trying to, I understand right now, the service industry is in a very tough spot. I'm not trying to hurt someone's livelihood by an accident, because it was an accident. So she did a great job leading up to that point, and she just didn't handle it the right way. So I believe we left 15%, which is 10% less than I normally leave. I'm at least a 25% guy. And so 15% with a note of it's all okay. Don't worry about it, but make sure we handle it better next time.
Be better. Be better. That would have been better. Be better, period. And then there's your tip.
So that's how we handle it.
I hate that. But sometimes you run into those situations.
Yep. So that's my shade. I've just been ready to unload on this shit. Because when Saturday morning, I wake up and I was like, God, that was terrible. And I found my shade for Wednesday. It was just like, that's how I felt about it.
I thought you were going to tell us the Texas rattlesnake came in there and started a stone cold stunner, and then you didn't have to leave any tip. I thought that was how the story was going to end, but
no. I always tip something. I always have to tip something. Like, you really have to royally piss me off to get me to leave 0 tip. So, all right, guys. Hope you have a great rest of your Wednesday. Don't forget the A to Z Sports Podcast Network has new content out with a Tighten Up podcast this morning. Buck Rising will be live for A to Z Sports Primetime tonight, and we'll see you guys on the Titans Thursday to start off tomorrow. Have a good one. See you later.
Adios.